welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking the PC benchmark test for Dune Awakening for a spin. Now, this benchmark tool has been released on Steam prior to the upcoming release of the game, and it essentially allows you to benchmark your system to see how well it's going to cope with the game and just dial in the settings and essentially just prepare for launch, so to say. Now, when it comes to the required the minimum settings or recommended system specs, nothing is on a Steam page. There is, however, a little bit of speculation floating about in Reddit and PC Game Benchmark, and they think that the minimum requirements would be a GeForce GTX 1070, at least a 3rd gen i5, and at least 8 gigs of RAM. For recommended ones, they kind of think it's gonna need an NVIDIA GeForce 2060, at least an 8th gen i7, and at least 16 gigs of RAM. Now, I'm not sure if these speculations are correct, because if you remember from the RTX 5080 launch, they were trying to showcase Dune Awakening in 4K native with no DLSS and with ray tracing enabled, and it was barely reaching 60 or 70 frames at times. And then they enabled the frame gen and the DLSS 4, and they got 300 frames, right? So, and the whole world started to laugh a little bit in regards to NVIDIA, because you just released a top tier flagship card and it can't do 4K native at 60 frames. So let's have a look what we actually have in regards to settings. Obviously we're going full screen, 2K native resolution, no vertical sync. Motion blur is off by default, so no need to toggle that, but it's nice that there's an option for that. Graphically we're going with a custom setting, and the custom setting is the only way we can disable any upscalers. So we're going with the ultra view distance, post processing, shadow quality, effects, texture, foliage, hair quality. Anti-aliasing and upscalers, we're going to be using TAA, so temporal anti-aliasing. You could technically go with TSR, temporal scaled resolution, but it will kind of be a dynamic resolution change. If you wish to take DLSS for a spin, go for it. Also, it does support FSR, but we're just using TAA. DLSS is disabled, FSR is disabled, and as you can see, by default, they're enabled on both balanced and quality. Screen percentage, so this is the render percentage of the game, is 100%, so it's native 2K. No frame generation enabled, anti-aliasing on ultra, global on quality, and that's pretty much all there is, really. Now, will this game live up to your expectations, how it looks and runs? That's entirely up to yourself. I'm just here what an old 99K and 4070 Ti with 32 gigs can do. So let's run the benchmark and MSI right hand side. So let's see how it actually goes there. Now, the benchmark is split in 3 separate sections just to measure the performance across the board. So this was the first segment, we're moving on to the second one, and then we're gonna go for the third. So now it's just so you don't think that this is the whole benchmark, like the whole 30 seconds of it, but there's more. And so far it does actually run, and it runs pretty decent based on the system, to be fair, but yeah, we'll see how it goes further down as well. So what we have, average frames 68 for the first segment, 73 for the second, 100 for the third, which essentially is just the gyrocopter, whatever those things are called, flying about. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, with no upscalers to actually get pretty much 60-ish plus frames for a pre-release, kind of like a technical benchmark test, which is not even, they already put a disclaimer, this is not the final product, this will not show you the final quality or the performance of the game. I think it's actually pretty decent. Obviously if you have support for DLSS or FSR, I would say use it. Depends of course on the quality settings you're going to be using, but for everything maxed out, 60 frames, 2K with a 99K, pretty decent. I don't know. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you find this interesting. There is a link down in the description where you can venture onto the Steam and take your system for a spin, and let's see how it goes. Over and out.